Hello and welcome to the Newsx Sunday Guardian Roundtable. Well, this week we're going to be taking a look at the state assembly elections in Tamil Nadu. The election campaigning has begun, and so has all the posturing. We've seen the Congress and the DMK still trying to figure out their alliance. Congress is flirting with the TVK, which is the newly launched party by actor turned politician Vijay. Is the Congress doing this just for a bargaining ploy, or does it actually feel that there is an anti-incumbency against DMK? It should distance itself from it. And also, the Congress has raised a demand that they want this time power sharing. They want a ministerial berth from the DMK, which the DMK is very adamant and saying no. No other person than the Chief Minister MK Stalin has actually said this on record. So, is this a make or break situation for the Congress? The Congress and the DMK are having a meeting on the 28th, but before that, will we see an alliance with the TVK? And more importantly, what are the surveys on the ground saying? For that, I have with me Amitabh Tiwari, whose Vote 5 India has already taken off. We've done a couple of sessions with him. So he's been on the track for, I think, nearly a month now or more, maybe perhaps. So Amitabh will tell us. He's also the founder of the Ascendia and a political strategist and analyst. I have with me Sumant Raman. He is, of course, a political analyst and a very, well-known voice from Tamil Nadu. He's actually one who's been telling us a lot of what is happening on the ground. Last elections, he was right, and this elections also. Let's see his podcast. And Mr. Paneer Selvan, again, somebody who we interacted with in the last election as well, who was also right in predicting the DMK win. He is the Director General at the Chennai Institute of Journalism, and he was formerly the readers editor at the Hindu. Amitabh, let's begin with you first. If you can just give us a inkling into your findings, and then I will get others on it.
Yeah, so essentially the round one findings, which was released on 3rd of February, show that there is good amount of anti-incumbency. So the people who are or respondents who are saying that there is anti-incumbency or they are not satisfied with the government performance is higher than people who are saying that there is pro-incumbency or they are satisfied with the government. That's number one. And around 14-15% people are saying that the government performance has been average. The number two finding on CM ratings is that Stalin leads the race, followed by EPS and then by actor Vijay. It's around 33% for Stalin, 30 for EPS, and around 23% for Vijay.
So 33 and 30, is that a big gap according to you, or is it?
Largely a margin of error gap, plus minus 3% is usually the margin of error in any of the surveys. And then when we talk about issues, surprisingly here unemployment emerges as the fourth issue. The top three issues are alcoholism, drug and drug abuse, women's safety, corruption, law and order, and unemployment. So these are the top five issues in that sense. Who is TVK damaging most? Because that's one of the hot topics being discussed on the ground. There we found that around 35% people are saying that it is damaging DMK more, and around 19 to 20% saying that it is damaging AIADMK. So the majority or the maximum of the respondents feel that TVK's entry is likely to damage DMK because of overlapping or similar vote banks. When we asked what will be the impact of TMK Vijay, while 18% believe that he could form the government, 8% believe that there can be a hung assembly because of this triangular sort of a contest. But there are equally 22% of the voters who feel that he could just be a vote cutter, and 31% believing that he could perform just like the Prashant Kishore of Jansuraj. So not qualitatively or quantitatively, but in terms of impact that he could fizzle out before the elections. These could be largely the DMK, AIADMK hardcore voters who feel that he might not be doing well. And on the last question of the voting intention, I think we got 36 for DMK-led alliance, 34 for AIADMK-led alliance, and around 19 for TVK. So here also is 2%, but again within the margin of error. So there's a lot of fluidity because the alliances are being formed up. DMDK joined the DMK alliance just yesterday. As you mentioned, Congress is flirting with the idea of going with the TMK or TVK or remaining within the Congress.
Hmm.
Also on the trend, actually, one question we asked whether the trend of alternate governments, which was broken in 2016 by Jayalalitha, whether that strong trend is likely to remain or not. And in that, interestingly, 44% people have said that the trend is likely to repeat, which means that we could see alternate governments.
Oh,
So we don't
so
know.
it's
So
okay.
these are the findings currently. Yeah.
So not as secure for the DMK according to your findings. Sumant, what is your take on that? The mood on the ground and this whole Congress flirtation. Are they just flirting, or are they seriously going to go with the TVK?
Priya, I think first of all, with Mr. Amitabh's findings, I'm sort of largely in agreement. I mean, we can quibble
Okay.
about the numbers a little bit, but the DMK has its nose ahead, but not by a great deal. The complete unknown quantity is the TVK because will closer to the election, will they still be seen as a serious contender, or will the entire anti-DMK vote partially shift to to the AIDMK and DA combined? Now, that is really the question because general wisdom now in Tamil Nadu is the fewer the votes Vijay gets, the better it would be for the NDA. Now, he is taking a sizable chunk of the DMK vote. No, make no mistake about it. But the general consensus is Vijay draws 20% plus.
Hmm.
Uh, then that gap between DMK and ADMK would still be there, and the DMK front would be ahead purely by arithmetic. So anti-incumbency is certainly there. I mean, there is no doubt. Not so much against Mr. Stalin, but huge anti-incumbency against the sitting MLAs, the ministers, and so on. So it's just that Mr. Stalin has managed to position himself as a kind of father figure. In fact, he wants to be called Appa by the people of the state. So basically, he has sort of distanced himself. So all the anger against his party, against his government, is not really reflecting against Mr. Stalin per se. Having said that, I think the Congress is quite serious on having a share of power. I think that is the fundamental issue, not whether they should be given 25 seats or 28 seats or 32 seats. The point is Mr. Manikam Tagore and Praveen Chakravarti, who floated this idea and took it forward, they were speaking, from whatever I heard, on the authority of Rahul Gandhi, on the mandate given by Rahul Gandhi. Now, within the Congress, in every state, but in Tamil Nadu, the Congress has about 20 factions. Okay, so each one is pulling in its own direction. The state president is more a loyalist of the DMK than the Congress. He's been in four parties before, and the state Congress president is actually more loyal to DMK than he is to the Congress. So, what basically happens is there are multiple voices. What I heard, and this is that the Congress has given the DMK a request. They have not heard from the DMK officially for 70 days or 75 days now. The DMK has said they're forming a committee to for alliance talks on 22nd, that is day after tomorrow,
Hmm.
and thereafter talks will be held. But the Congress, from what I understand, wants the following: they want a share they want a role, a place in the government with cabinet berths, at least two of them. They want at local body level, they want a share of the seats to be decided, and they also want these chairmen of boards, the corporations, state corporations, and boards, and so on. They also want a share of that. They are not prima facie concerned about whether they get two seats more or three seats more. The TVK has
Hmm.
given a carte blanche. TVK have 1.5 years. They've been waiting for somebody to come and align with them. Nobody has come, so
Hmm.
they have actually given them a blank check. One of the TVK leaders I spoke to said, the Congress can even take 80 to 100 seats if that's what they want, if they feel that they can contest effectively, because the TVK doesn't have so many serious candidates. So it's still open. Is the Congress DMK alliance a done deal? Not yet. It could be a done deal, but for the Congress to back off now and just
Hmm.
accept 3, 4 seats more, I think that will finish the party in Tamil Nadu.
That's very interesting. Mr. Selvam, what is your reaction to this and the Congress posturing with the DMK? Can the DMK win without the Congress? He's spoken about the alliance winning, and that too is a very narrow win. So, if you take the Congress out of the alliance, what happens to the DMK?
see, two pointers emerge from Amitabh's survey. One is he says that Stalin is way above support than say TVK or Vijay or Mr. Edapadi. Therefore, that is one interesting pointer which we have to take, because that goes well with the overall Tamil Nadu last 60 years track history. Because in Tamil Nadu, there has never been an hung assembly. People have voted decisively, either this side or that side. I have never, even in 2016, when there were three-cornered fight, the third corner, which was the Makkal Nala Koottani, actually cut into one side so that the other side gets a decisive mandate. Therefore, what I have seen is, especially after 77, whenever a force is coming up, the third force is not able to generate that threshold of momentum to be a major influencer. The last time a third party came with 25 seats on its own in the state assembly was in 89 with Mupanar.
I see. Okay.
After 1989, a third party never exceeded 25% on its own. And we should not conflate this with Tamil Mandala Congress winning 61 seats in 1996 or Mr. Vijaykanth becoming the leader of the opposition in 2011. This doesn't mean that the Tamil Mandala Congress has become the second largest party. It was ADMK, which was still the second largest party. And again in 2011, we can't think that Vijaykanth's party was the second largest party because DMK remained the second largest party. So in that sense, these two polls, DMK and ADMK, are much larger poll. And what we do is,
So is TVK, can it be a spoiler?
yeah, it can be a spoiler, but the issue is when it comes to the election, it's not just the opinion, it's also the ground level infrastructure.
Okay.
One of the reasons why Mr. Vijay is willing to give that huge leeway to lure Congress is because he needs somebody to fill it with credible candidates.
Okay. That makes
Therefore,
sense.
Just one correction.
Someone quickly.
Yes. Just one correction. 2011, actually, the DMDK of Vijaykanth was the second largest party in the House. They won 29 seats. DMK won 23. Mr. Vijaykanth became leader of the opposition in the House. So that is just one point. Sorry.
No, that's what I'm saying. That we don't consider that as the second largest party. Electoral outcomes doesn't make a party the second largest.
Absolutely, because they were in alliance with the AIDM.
Yeah, that's the only thing. Because we shouldn't conflate the Tamil Nadu Congress position in 1996 to make it the second largest party. We shouldn't conflate the electoral result of 2011 to consider Mr. Vijaykanth the second largest party.
Fair enough. Okay.
First and second position was oscillating only between the two Dravidian majors. And ever since the first election for the state, after the linguistic reorganization of the states, was in 1957. From 1957, this state had never gone for a hung assembly. Never.
Okay.
There has been a very, very clear, I think at some level, people are very clear whom they want to be in power. And that has been so disturbed. And I'm not able to understand this idea of an hung assembly which keeps coming up whenever it comes to Tamil Nadu.
Okay. But where will the Congress go? Where do you think the Congress, is it posturing, or do you think they actually they're very serious about the share in the power and they will experiment with TVK?
See, what we are witnessing with Congress is layered one. One is Congress has been out of power from 67. It wants to crawl back and have some say. But what it's failing to understand is whenever it increases its stake, that ends up very badly. First is 1980. 1980 was the first time there was a power sharing agreement between DMK and Congress, and both of them contested evenly, and they lost out narrowly to MG Ramachandran to come back to power.
Okay.
The 1980 example, DMK is not willing to forget or forgive.
That's interesting.
Yeah, there were
Okay.
there. What happened is the moment you get into sharing of power, it's no longer complementary but mutual undermining. The vote share will never happen because each one will think that putting other person in his place will be helpful in power sharing. This is undercurrent, or I don't think any political party will agree that they will work against their electoral alliance partner. But that is the reality at the ground level.
Okay.
If you're going to take a share, I will cut
Yeah.
you to size.
Okay.
Therefore, that mutual undermining, which happened in
Yes.
1980, in fact, that was the first election which I observed as a rookie reporter. Therefore, I remember exactly what happened.
Okay. I'm going to take a break and come back and keep the conversation going. So stay with us. Hello and welcome back to the roundtable. We're taking a look at the elections in Tamil Nadu with a special focus on the alliances because this week, this next 10 days is very crucial indeed. But Amitabh, if we take, is there any calculation that if we take the Congress out of the DMK alliance, will the DMK be able to retain its edge? And what will happen if the Congress and the TVK tie up?
See, arithmetically, if you see on a standalone basis per se, AIADMK has higher vote share than DMK in 7 of the 11 elections which they have fought after.
Okay.
But in terms of alliances, if we see in the last few years, at least in the last decade, DMK has tried, tested better alliance. So that's why we've seen that they have won 3 elections, 2 Lok Sabha and 1 Vidhan Sabha at a stretch. So Tamil Nadu is a game of alliances. Interestingly, all the other parties, including BJP and Congress, have been in both the groups.
It's true.
BJP earlier with DMK, AIADMK, Congress similarly with DMK, AIADMK, then back to DMK. PMK has been switching sides. DMDK was with AIADMK, now with DMK. Tamil Congress perhaps is the only one which has either stayed alone or largely with AIADMK. Now, if you see the last year's election, or rather 2021, the vote share gap is 5%. Congress got 4%, 4.3%. So since it is a game of alliances, what Congress feels is that bulk of the difference between the two alliances, which is this 4%, which is perhaps 8 to 10,000 votes per constituency or 5 to 8,000 votes per constituency, Congress brings on the table. And that's why it should have a share of power because it's a game of alliances. In 2021 and 2024 Lok Sabha election also, since AIADMK and DMK and the BJP split, we saw a sweep by the DMK. Hypothetically, if they were together, they could have got around 13 Lok Sabha seats, assuming that the votes would have transferred. So it would have been 26 and 13 largely. So if Congress joins TVK, it of course adds 4-5% vote share. If it contests on more seats, it can add even 8 to 10% vote share. Because pre-split of DMK, Congress used to have 35% vote share in Tamil Nadu and DMK used to have 45. This 35 has fallen to 4. And the Dravidian parties, which were at 45%, have gone up to 70-75% on a combined basis. So I'm not saying that Congress goes back to 35, but by contesting on more seats, it can get 7 to 8% range. So it is a call which it has to take, but largely bargaining at this point of time that if the DMK had power sharing in a UPA government for 10 years, and if I use a North Indian colloquial, some of them had Malai portfolios, then not Congress. When the contest is becoming closer, there is a third force, which is a threat to, let's say, Udayanidhi Stalin's leadership, which is the future leadership of the DMK, and the BJP and the EPS have come together. Then why
Hmm.
extract this leverage? We will be asking this question when in further surveys as to what could happen if TVK and the Congress join together. But
Yeah.
that's because it's a tight race that 4-5% also sometimes
Makes
can.
a difference. Yeah. Okay, Suman, I know you have to go, but I have two specific questions for you. One is, of course, if the TVK, for instance, I mean, sorry, if MK Stalin, can the BJP and the DMK also join hands at some point? Because DMK has done business, as Amitabh said, with both the parties, Congress and this thing. There is also talk of MK Stalin sending his son-in-law to the Rajya Sabha, who was very good networking with the BJP. Do you see that happening? And secondly, is the Congress being unrealistic in its demand for power sharing, or is it something whose time has come because they do have a sizable vote share?
First question on whether the DMK and BJP can tie up in public no, privately they are already in an alliance. The 2G case, for instance, Priya hasn't moved an inch. This
I
was
good point.
a BJP government that actually where the CBI actually asked for day-to-day hearings before the 21 election.
Hmm.
They moved the Delhi High Court and asked for day-to-day hearings in the 2G case before after the elections. The case has slept for 5 years. Not just this case. I can give you another half a dozen cases which are under investigation either through ED or CBI against DMK ministers and others,
Hmm.
which have all been sleeping and snoring soundly. So in Tamil Nadu, the general perception is that is why many of the parties who are neither in the DMK or ADMK say
Hmm.
that ADMK is in an open alliance with the BJP and DMK is in a backdoor alliance with the BJP.
That's
And
interesting. Hmm.
and there are people like Mr. Annamalai who are seen more as though publicly he talks about defeating the DMK, they are seen as playing to the DMK's tune, which is why he
Hmm.
wrecked the ADMK BJP alliance, which, as Amitabh said, had they been together, they would have won easily about 12 to 13 seats in the last Lok Sabha election, and they drew a blank. So,
Hmm.
so the DMK and BJP, there is a wonderful understanding between them back at the back. Publicly, they will abuse each other and make noise, but I think people are sort of aware that they will not do anything that actually radically damages each other. Now, the second part is Congress. The Congress has, at last count, 4.9% vote share, which when they contested alone. So
Hmm.
assume that some of it may have fallen off. The importance of the Congress, Priya, is not just that 4.95%. The importance of the Congress is the perception it gives to the DMK alliance.
Which
That the
is?
DMK alliance is a rock, nothing can shake it. In fact, that's been the narrative for the past 1 year. On the other side, you have an NDA which is in fragments. Only ADMK and BJP were part of this alliance, and TMC of Mr. Vasan were part of the alliance till about a month ago. Only last 1 month they have brought in Anbumani's PMK and they brought in TTV Dinakaran and so on. But on the other side, you have a rock solid alliance which has held together for more than 10, 15 years. Now, that has been the narrative. So when the Congress breaks, should it happen,
Hmm.
it creates a huge perception issue that the DMK may not actually win this election, and all this bit about, as Amitabh said, 3%, 4% cushion. Now that may
Hmm.
dis- Second, if the Congress by chance joins the TVK then starts to be seen as a viable option. Today, the TVK is seen as a bit of a oddball, where only these 25, 30 year olds and all these crazed fans are going to vote.
Hmm.
But tomorrow, if a national party like the Congress is willing to tie up with Vijay, it gives him the political legitimacy that he today does not have. So it could upset everybody's apple cart. So I think that the decision that the Congress could take is extremely important. And one more thing, Priya,
Hmm.
if the Congress contests with the DMK now, after all the bad blood that there has been, mark my words, they will not get even double-digit MLAs. The DMK itself will sink them. So that is something which they are so angry with what the Congress has done. that there's no way that they're going to help the Congress candidates to win. There will be a lot of sabotage internally by the DMK, and without the DMK, the Congress candidates will not win. There is no doubt, no way that they can win any seat, maybe one or two, but nothing beyond that they can win without the DMK. So I think that the decision of the Congress could be crucial to the way this election actually shapes up. And if the Congress chooses to break ranks from the DMK, the DMK has never won an election on its own in its history. Never. Jayalalitha has won 2 elections, with minor small parties with her and no major player. The DMK has never won an election without a large alliance. And if the Congress leaves the alliance, they will be in serious trouble.
Wow. One more quick question for you, Suman. I've heard, is there a sort of a conversation that Congress ties up with the TVK and post the elections, Vijay merges with the Congress and becomes the face of the Congress in the Tamil Nadu?
See, that, I've been hearing that as well, but I think it's a little too premature because the Congress also is still in the process of sizing up Vijay. They don't know what, nobody knows. The party has not even contested a panchayat election. So
Correct.
Nobody knows where, this 23% and 34% and 42% that the analysts are putting out. Now that has not yet materialized on the ground. And unless it happens at least once, it's way too premature for any party to want Vijay as part of as one of their leaders. So leave alone the Congress. Congress is a national party. So they're not going to jump into any kind of conclusions on this. But if they do choose to break ranks and go with Vijay, it's also an opportunity for them to rebuild the party in Tamil Nadu. If they go with the DMK, I think the party is finished, Priya, because they're going to be maybe 15 MLAs, and all they're going to do for next 5 years is going to support whatever the government does, and the credibility of the party will go.
So, quick answer in the end, Mr. Paneerselvan. The DMK seems to be in a bind. It can't do without the Congress, and currently it's not being able to do with the Congress.
No, this is a perception and the narrative which is being said. If you are looking at within how things are happening, the only dilemma is with the Congress. And the people in Congress who want power are the people who can't win on their own. Let's take Mr. Manik Thakur himself. In Virudunagar, he narrowly escaped. Vijaykant's son, Vijay Prabhakaran, challenged him so much. Therefore, not a single MLA in ADM Congress wants to go with TVK. And Mr. Praveen Chakravarti is completely against this alliance because he was denied Mayiladurai seat in the last parliamentary election.
By the DMK.
Yeah, therefore, we have to also look at the context. If it is such an issue, Congress would have taken an easy decision. Congress is using purely TV, in my opinion, purely TVK to increase its bargain. It's not, and Congress also finds it very, very important to have the support of 30 odd DMK MPs whenever it's facing difficulty in the parliament.
Okay.
Even
Which
in
is
the
what Stalin has
therefore-
said. He's the biggest ally and the most stable ally. So I think
Yes.
can't
Therefore,
they afford to lose him?
internally, if you're talking to the Congress leaders and privately, they are saying that we should look at Stalin as the next generation Jyoti Basu. He kept his alliance intact for nearly 3 decades. Similarly, Stalin had already kept the alliance intact for 15 years. And I don't think we can conflate a leader's ability to keep the alliance intact and discount it fully. Alliances are always kept by the leaders.
And there is a good chemistry between Rahul and Stalin also, which one has to take into account.
See, that chemistry is there. There is an internal discussion. The tallest leader in today's Congress in Tamil Nadu is definitely Chidambaram. P. Chidambaram feels that if you want all these things, you should have started earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. You can't start at the last minute. Therefore, you are seen only as a spoiler. You came to power in 2021. When the alliance comes to power in 2021, what were the people's issue? You took it up. When
No, I
was
agree. You can't
last
change your
time-
narrative now.
Yeah,
Right.
you can't change your narrative last minute purely as a bargaining chip.
That I agree. But
You did not raise a single people's issue and had any campaign. Have you seen any campaign by Mr. Praveen Chakravarti in Tamil Nadu? Have you seen any campaign by Mr. Thakur in Tamil Nadu earlier? CPM took up the Samson case. VCA took up some of the atrocities against Dalits. Therefore, everybody within the alliance, when it comes to their core vote bank, they were willing to address
risk the alliance.
Yeah. But the Congress did nothing. Only when the day of election comes in, they wake up. And this entire idea of DMK not coming back, how will DMK come back? Generally, the coming back happens after few counters of the understanding is being accepted by both sides. Say the
Yes.
number of seats. If these things are accepted, then the alliance works out constituency-wise distribution, gender-wise distribution.
And the tickets, right?
Therefore, that discussion always happens after the broader contours are emerged.
But then the Congress is saying the committee has not been set up, which now
Yes,
finally
why
has.
we never set up the committee because committee is for the public consumption.
Okay. So this is all background negotiation.
Before forming the committee, you need the broader alliances. What happens if you are going to come up with some outstanding,
Outrageous.
outrageous demand when the committee is formed? Therefore, the committee will be formed only after few basic understanding is there.
Okay.
And that has been the pattern throughout. It's not the first time. Committee will discuss only about specific constituencies, specific distribution.
Okay.
The 234 specific distribution is what the committee will decide.
So which makes
the
next
committee
week
will never have the power to decide on power sharing.
right.
Okay.
Got it. So basically next week is very crucial as we were discussing because now they're running out of time. It's dates are going to be announced end of the month. So the Congress really needs to take a decision fast. And after that, of course, we have Amitabh who's going to tell us where the decision is going to weigh, which way it goes. So we'll come back to you again on that. But thank you both for this conversation. Sumant had to leave early, but thank you all for this.
Thank you.